It is my honor and privilege to welcome you all to this roadshow brought to you by ETCIO in association with Searce and Google Cloud. This event is a confluence of business leaders, IT executives, and digital practitioners from across industry verticals. It is very heartening to see so many of you here. I appreciate you taking out the time to be with us today. Today's event will facilitate discussion through a blend of informative presentations and interactive fireside chat sessions that will help inform, answer, solve, and prepare you for the challenges of a futuristic, digitally enabled, collaborative workplace of the future. Our speakers are drawn from the ranks of seasoned practitioners and industry experts. We have well over 35 delegates from across industry verticals. So the networking opportunities over the next couple of hours are going to be quite exciting. Social media is our lifeline for this event, so please feel free to add your voice to the vision of our speakers. Now let's face it, there is a mass evolution, elevation, and value shift that's happening at the workplace. Research and consulting agencies like Boston Consulting Group, McKinsey, and PwC, who are investigating the trends in the workplace, have validated that we are in a workers' market. And they predict that this will continue till 2030. Today, workers hold more power than they ever have. They have the power to decide who they will work for, how they will work, how long they will work, and where they will work from. The Great Resignation is, in fact, the Great Re-evaluation. The employees are leaving workplace structures, brands, and leadership where they are not supported in terms of the values, flexibilities, and working pattern preferences. There is a behavior shift, and the employees are seeking freedom, fluidity, and flexibility in the work culture. Talent is voting with its feet. The acid test for most progressive industries and companies today is, are you an employer of choice? Now, I'm sure all of us gathered here would agree that the future of work is digital first, hybrid first, as the dominant operational model. And in line with this organizational imperative, the rules of engagement, collaboration, communication, information exchange, and knowledge transfer are being rewritten like never before. Organizations are wising up to the fact that they need to strike a balance between the digital and hybrid work models, and they need to build immersive, intelligent, agile, stable, secure, and resilient platforms, and to do all of this at scale. The future of work will be fluid, dynamic, powered by digital technologies, and experiences that will allow employees to work from anywhere at any time. So how can organizations bridge this advancement gap? To understand this, and to understand how organizations are readapting to the work environment, to get a sense of what lies ahead, we will hear from some of the great minds from the industry. Today we have with us industry practitioners who've done that for their customers and are here to help you with their insights and real-world scenario planning. You'd rather hear it from them than me. And with that, ladies and gentlemen, I'd like to invite upon stage Shashi Tripathi, Senior Director Sales for Searce. Shashi, take it away.
Good evening, everybody. All right. It's always, I still get butterflies when a name is called in front of a room. So, if I fumble, be with me and don't laugh at me. But I do sales in Searce, and the context of the next 10 minutes is I want to introduce you to this Evelos series of what Searce has been doing along with Google Cloud, and a little bit about Searce. Then there will be speakers who will talk about the platform. There's a fireside chat, and there will be some other sessions where you will see the platform in action. That's typically how the evening will go. But if I start off, I want to start off by saying thank you. Thank you to all of you who blocked the time on your calendar, waded through the traffic of Mumbai city. While you were going through the traffic, I'm sure you were taking calls, trying to solve issues of the office. So really, really working along while you were making your time and way here, and then landing up here and trying to, and giving us the opportunity to spend some time with you. So thank you, thank you, thank you. There's never enough gratitude that you can express to people who are out here to listen to what somebody has to say. And after all, this is a reach out to every one of you of what we do and our services. So thank you again. What does Evlos do? And I'll start with this one piece itself. What is this whole story? There is no big deal that Evlos is anagram of solve. And when we started off this series, this is among the culmination of this series which we have been doing with Google Cloud throughout the year. This is one of the events. And what we profess here is all your problems. I'm sure all of you are from your organizations trying to solve varied challenges, right? You're grappling with every challenge known, whether it is in operations, whether it is in finance, whether it is in HR, whether it is in, I really don't know, technology, whichever ways and areas, ultimately every of those challenges you're trying to solve. What we are trying to work through and tell and say that there are partners out there who can help you solve this problem a little differently. Now, I don't know whether that will solve the problem, but I heard this one anecdote, and I'm sure all of you know that if you keep doing the same things, you can't expect different results. So probably sometimes a recalibration is needed to approaches to things. And you may not change the problem. You wish you shouldn't change the problem, but try to change the approach. And sometimes partners like Google Cloud, Searce, and a specific platform can help you probably change that route. So solving differently is all about that, introducing that. Why not look at a partner like Google Cloud? And I say this with lot of pride, right? Not from any other perspective, but a company like Google Cloud, right, which has built its $180 billion, $200 billion business grounds up on cloud. And they are running that on a platform where they have been innovating, collaborating on a platform and built 9 products. I don't know, it might be 10 products now of billion users each. There are not many organizations that can match up to that scale. And they have done on the cloud, on a platform, or on the same collaboration platform, which we'll talk through the session. Searce as a company, so basically working and interacting with them can be a different alternative. That's what I probably meant. Searce as an organization has been associated with Google for the last 14 years, worked along with more than 3,000 customers on their journey of collaboration in the cloud and the cloud journey itself. So we bring in some battle scars which can help you solve the problem that you're tackling with a little differently. And then the platform itself, which we will talk and spend most of the times, which Rajan will take the session right after this, which is Google Workspace, right? That platform in itself is different. And the difference is not about what it achieves. The difference is how the platform was built, how it has evolved, the kind of features, functions, functionality is all different. But the philosophy behind that particular product is really, really amazing. And Rajan will paint some bit of that picture for you of what is the enterprise vision, what Google Cloud is about. So that's what I meant by Evlos. We'll try to tweak and work across on some part. My next part, after I have told you what Evlos is about, is to introduce you to Searce. And I want to start with this. Ravikant Naval is a Twitter guy. I don't know how many of you follow him. I am not his follower. Somebody gave me his tweet. And I loved this tweet. I have used this multiple times. But this basic stays, right? Whether you are a software company or a technology company, there will be others who will be, eventually, will be in your business. And this is very profound, not from any other perspective. I'll give you real world examples, which I have loved seeing that. Zomatos and the Swiggies, or let's say the last mile delivery companies disrupted the old organizations. And then came a Zepto, which probably disrupted them, right? If I talk about today banks, HDFC Bank, or for that matter, a large organization like Wipro, they are incubating startups within those organizations themselves. So the disruptors, which were disruptors at one point in time, are getting disrupted. And who have not been disrupted are already incubating ideas for the next disruption. So everybody is in this game, right? Whether you are small or large, Everybody is going to get into the technology space or is already in the technology space working through that. This we realized, and probably all of you know that Google Searce has been working. So whether you are a disruptor yourself or whether you are working not to get disrupted, we have worked with 3,600 such customers. What you see on the screen here is just some of the customers of those 3,600 who we have worked on a specific platform, which is GWS. This is one of the tools, primarily, which we are talking about. I'll draw some parallels, right, and probably just point out few areas here. You can see on this slide, e-commerce, or let's say a retail company like Flipkart, and then you also have a retail company like a Titan. These are two spectrums, right? The new world and the old world. You have here, if I see on it, basically an organization, a pharmaceutical company, a chemical manufacturing, and a pharmaceutical company like an Aarti industry, but you also have one MG there. So the new world and the age world, right? And there are numerous such examples that you will find among those companies. And as a platform, this can be used by everybody. So there is no, how do I say, boundary line of what and what organizations. We have worked across with GWS, along with Google Cloud, in manufacturing, in real estate, in airlines, in hospitality, as I basically said, and the new age and digital companies. The platform is relevant to everybody, FSI, right, as well as we go forward. So those is what Searce does. Searce works in the cloud world, in the SaaS world, along with Google Cloud to provide services. This is not by any design. Wherever innovations happen, we open up an office there, right? Because that's what we follow. You follow the innovation, and hence work, business opportunities come to us. But we have been present in all of these locations. This should just tell you that we are not a fly-by-night operator. 17-year-old organizations now present in 14 locations across the globe and helping and taking Google Cloud, GWS to the market. This is what we essentially are. It's just a technology consulting company on the cloud. Anything to do with Google Cloud, all products on Google Cloud, we definitely are the partner to do it. And we have been doing that for the last 15, 16 years, primarily. We are not a management consulting company. We can't help you with business transformation consulting. We can't help you with process transformation consulting. You pick your problem and basically arrive at the technical solution. We can help and basically come into that account and break all those layers from a technology standpoint. So we know what we operate in, and you should remember us from that paradigm. The final piece, this is my last slide, which primarily is just the services. We have a large portfolio of services on Google Cloud, but if I just talk of the services on GWS, because that's the topic of the evening, from consulting, so you really want to do and figure out how to adopt, the plan for it, the change management, whatever else is required for an adoption, from a planning to adoption to plan part of the entire portion of consulting from adoption, we can definitely help you with that. Implementation of GWS, right? We have done implementation, and this is an important thing to note, from 10 user companies to 100,000, 200,000 user companies. And we have experience of everything in between. There wouldn't be a problem or a challenge or a use case that we have not tackled while in these 13, 14 years of working along on that. So implementation, yes. Managed services, you want to run it yourself. SaaS product, definitely do that. But if you want our help, we are happy to do that. The bottom three services are more about extending your investment into Google GWS. So if you ever wanted to extend your investment into GWS, business process improvements, automation, low code, no code, right? App scripting, integration with multiple systems within your organizations of GWS, we are the guys who can help you do that. Security, sometimes your posture, how does it integrate to the larger picture? Happy to do that. And finally, lots and lots of data is available on the usage patterns of what your organization does. Imagine the platform getting adopted by 10,000 people, 20,000, 50,000, 100,000. The amount of data, information, interactions, whatever is happening, right from security to interactions, a lot of analysis, a lot of insights, a lot of organizational knowledge can be gathered by using that and connecting to Looker. Now basically what is called as Looker Studio, which used to be a platform of data studio. So that work also definitely is possible through our end. I want to end my 10 minutes by this. Every company worth their salt today is a tech startup. Every company. If you're not a tech startup, at least you have a tech startup mindset, and maybe you'll eventually get there. Because everybody is thinking of disrupting that. As an organization, we are the tech startup for every tech startup out there. That's what Searce does. That's what I want to talk about. Again, I want to say thank you for your time. Thank you for coming here. I'll again come back and speak to you at the end of it, but I can't help and tell you that how grateful we are to see all of you. Thank you very much again. Sneha, over to you.
Thank you so much, Shashi. That was a wonderful introduction on the company, a snapshot of what Searce is all about, what it does, and why it does it so well. And ladies and gentlemen, may I now call upon stage our second speaker for the evening. He is Rajan CS, Google Workspace Enterprise Sales Account Manager for Google Cloud. And he's going to be making a presentation titled Google Workspace, Future of Work and an Enterprise Vision. So can we have on stage Rajan? All yours.
Good evening. First of all, sincere thanks. All of you have taken your time out the middle of the week, right, to be here with us. I trust next 30-40 minutes are going to be useful. You're going to go back with some key takeaways, right? And thanks, Ashi, for setting the stage. I mean, like, it's given a crisp overview in terms of what is going to transpire in the next few hours, right? Before we get into what I'm here to speak about, let's have some trivia about Google. I mean, like, all of you guys could relate to this slide, right? The most viewed or the most visited website. Is all good with this slide? Can you make out any difference in this slide? Lucky, okay. That's missing? Is that missing? Yes. I never knew like there was always a button called I feel lucky, right? When I started reading about Google, this is one trivia which I came up, that there is a button called I feel lucky. And that's the day I realized there's actually a button called I feel lucky. So what is this button for? Have you guys ever went and clicked on that button to check why is this button and what does it throw up? Right? I'm sure 99% of the people would not have done that, including me, right? So it is like, it is just to make your life all the more easier. When you go and do a search, Google throws up whole list of search results, right? So instead of you going into each and every page and trying to figure out the relevant content, it shows the best matching website and it directly opens the site. Okay, it's a small trivia. And also not necessary that every time Google just throws up the information what you want, right? There are a lot of times where it shows information what is required at that point of time. If somebody has to go and search that, how do I commit suicide, it's not going to throw up top 10 ways of committing suicide, right? We are very socially conscious organization, right? These are some of the things we bring up and this reflects in our platform, in our products as well. I'm sure like you guys will be able to relate to this, I mean this picture out here, right? It's a dinosaur. And this is actually there in Google headquarters, right? This also reflects our culture. This is to remind our employees, remind us on a day-to-day basis that we need to keep evolving, we need to keep innovating ourselves. We just don't want to get extinct like a dinosaur, okay? And these are the three underlying culture of Google, what you'll find across our products, the way we engage with customers, the way we build products, and the way we ensure that our customers also evolve with us, right? Now with that, let me come back to what I'm supposed to talk here, the future of work. See, last 2 years, I mean, all of us who have gone through that, right? And we know there has been a big impact in the way we have been working. And this is going to continue, right? Well, we all are accustomed to a hybrid way of working. which is already there. But there are so many new trends which are coming up, right? And the leaders acknowledge this. Okay, gone are the days where a 9-to-5 job or you can do your job only after coming to office. Those things are going away, right? The leaders acknowledge this. The employees are demanding this, and this is only going to go better. And the leaders acknowledge that 80% of the leaders, or more than 83% of the leaders, are having strategies to ensure that we are building that platform for employees so that we could drive that hybrid work culture. There is one more drastic culture which is actually evolving, especially in IT, right? And this has been in news for the last few weeks and months. Can anybody guess like what's happening in the IT industry of late? Moonlighting, right? Do we know the concept of moonlighting? It's actually a concept which is not welcomed in India yet, right? But trust me, IT has been the first sector to be impacted, and it has also been the first sector to acknowledge that this is going to be the future of work, right? Wipro, Infosys have fired employees because of moonlighting. But at the same time, Tech Mahindra is actually acknowledging and ensuring that like, okay, they create a policy around moonlighting, okay? So these are things which are going to come up to us, and as IT leaders, how do we ensure that we as an organization build up that ecosystem, right, to address these kind of workforces which are going to come in the future. As I mentioned, hybrid work is not new. As organizations, as IT leaders, when you build your ecosystem for hybrid work, right, you always create a strategy having your user at the center of your strategy, right? So what does that mean? And again, as I mentioned earlier, IT, the hybrid work is not new. It has always been there. It was hugely ramped up during the pandemic. Again, we are kind of coming back to normal, but not to the normal which was before the pandemic, right? So the statistics shows that like today we are at 51% of hybrid work, and this is only going to increase. So while you're talking about emerging themes of hybrid work, right? People acknowledge that hybrid work brings in more competencies. They're able to deliver more. They're able to achieve more while they're working from home as well as working from office. They're able to equally dedicate time to their families where there is a need. And does employees need it? Okay, so we did a survey internally, and this is an outcome which has come out. I'm sure like a lot of companies will be able to relate it. At least the employees will be able to relate it. While everybody wants hybrid work, nobody wants a kind of a compulsion around it. Not that like you need to come 3 days a week or 4 days a week, right? Most of the people want it to be flexible. I'll come whenever I feel that there is a need to collaborate, whenever I feel that I need to have a face-to-face conversation. So with this in place, right? So what happens is your workforce from now onwards, let's accept that it's going to be a distributed workforce, right? So when the workforce is distributed, what is the kind of challenges as IT leaders you're going to get from your workforce, right? One is getting this workforce connected, and for that, you need to ensure that you have an underlying layer of logistics in place. When I mean logistics, it is about your devices, it is about your connectivity. Then on top of that, you have the layer of applications, which enables users to talk to each other, ensure that they collaborate. Then also driving that factor of human interactions, right? These are some of the core components which have to be the pivot around which your hybrid work strategy has to be pivoted. Now let's talk about collaboration. I think like all of us in this room have been collaborating all our life, right? I think one of the first meaningful collaboration I have done in my life is like sending an email. I'm sure like everybody has started from that point. In a typical way, right, when we try to collaborate, what comes to mind is first an email. Second is, okay, I've created a document. I need to share it with say 10 people. How do I do that? The first instant reaction is, okay, let me attach this and send it to people, right? So the email travels to 10 people, then there are comments which are added, then there are points which are added, then the file becomes huge, then you try to probably share it with few more people, then your email cannot take it, you put it in a file server, then you send the link, then end of the month, like when you want to really look back at the file, you're actually in a dilemma and you're actually searching for it. Where is this file lying, right? This is the way we have seen collaboration. right? And I'm sure this is not the way what everybody would love to collaborate. And if you're collaborating this way, trust me, that is not the way you're going to scale up doing the collaboration. Now, while talking about collaboration, so collaboration is a teamwork, right? It's all about teamwork. You're interacting with your team, within your team, outside. And while talking about teamwork, I mean, I just stuck upon this analogy of the other place where teamwork is most important, most critical is a sports, right? Cricket, we all love cricket, and it is a teamwork, right? And here also people collaborate. There are two teams who are actually on the ground. They are working towards their goal, which is winning the match, right? But in cricket, what happens? There is a team of 11 people who are on the ground. There is another team, like 2 guys come on the ground. They do the batting, right? They do whatever best they can. They go back. Then another set of guys come in. They do the work. Then they go back. This is also collaboration. And this is what we have been doing all through our life, right? What does cloud collaboration has to offer? Cloud collaboration offers this. All 11 players of the team on the ground working synchronously to achieve a goal, okay? There's a huge difference between the way people collaborate here and the way people collaborate here, okay? Your legacy traditional tools cannot provide you this way of collaboration. Okay? Only a tool like Google Cloud, which is born in cloud, a cloud native tool, gives you this feasibility of getting multiple people on the same document, everybody working at the same time, collaborating with each other and trying to achieve the goal faster, right? So this, I thought this is a good analogy to put in place in terms of what is modern collaboration all about, right? So everybody can talk about collaboration, but how is it different? So in the last 15 years, right, we have actually mastered the art of collaboration. People have been using it. I'm sure everybody in this room has a Gmail account, right? Who doesn't have a Gmail account, right? Not a single hand, right? Everyone has a Gmail account. So there are a lot of apprehensions when we talk to customers that like, okay, there will be a lot of pushback because the tools are new, people might not be hands-on with it, right? See, all these questions go out of the window because we have been using Gmail, we have been using editors, right? These are nothing new, right? We have been using chat in our day-to-day life. So absolutely from an adoption standpoint, it is just an apprehension. The moment you put the tool in front of your users, from day one, they can pick it up. While we have built a complete stack around the Google Workspace, and this is how the Workspace looks today, a platform that enables your users to create, connect, and as an admin have absolute control over what's happening on your network in terms of the data being created, how it is being shared, right? And have absolute control in terms of your intellectual property. Okay, these are some numbers in terms of how this product has evolved over a period of time, right? 3 billion monthly active users, right? This also involves the consumers as well, right? Now, what are these numbers talking about? It is not just 3 billion users, okay? As when you start using Google Workspace, you'll feel that there is a whole lot of AI ML which is getting infused into the product, right? You'll start experiencing it. Right from the time you start composing an email, there is auto-suggestion which is happening, right? Even the language on which it is being suggested, you'll be able to correlate a lot. All these things are coming from telemetry data which is captured by these 3 billion plus users. That is actually getting fed into our AI ML engine. There are 7 million paid business users. There are 7 million paid businesses, not users, right? So these are huge numbers which talks about the credibility of the platform and the stability of the platform. Okay, so while we have the platform ready, again coming back to users from how they want to collaborate, right? So we went back to users and we asked like, what do we do in a typical day of your work life? So what did users do, right? They came back and told, okay, there are top 4 or 5 things we do on a daily basis. So what are they? They come to office or they log into the system, they see their email, they exchange emails, they act on their emails, they chat with people to whom they have to probably connect, share some data, collect some data. They connect with larger group in spaces. They do video meetings, voice meetings. they work on files, they attach files, or they share the link. Then there are tasks what they assign to people, or the task which has been assigned to them, they work on it, right? Now, in a typical scenario, what happens is they actually juggle from one application to the other application, right? There is an email application which is there, there is an Office application which is there is a chat application, there is a Meet application, there is a task application, right? Now, is this the way what users really enjoy doing this? The answer was no. So we remodeled the entire user interface into one single console, right? This is your home for work, right? You log into this, 90% of your work time you're spending on one single tab, right? You see your email, you act on it, you reach out to people, you get the information, you initiate a video call, you initiate a video meeting, you pull in a file, you share the file, everything happens in one single window, right? This is an integrated collaboration experience which the industry is started liking this, and people are being able to be more productive, right? And the same experience travels to your mobile phone as well, right? While we talk about hybrid work, doesn't mean that like every time you need to log into your laptop and then you start working. What is the first thing you guys do when you wake up in the morning? First thing, pick up your phone. And after picking up your phone, what do you do? Sorry? Messages on what? WhatsApp. I think 99.9% here does look in your WhatsApp, right? Now after that, you'll obviously look into your calendar, how does my day looking at, right? Then probably look at some emails which should have come late night or early morning. If your boss is in a different time zone, right? That's the first thing you look, right? So mobile today is a super integral part of your work, right? And if it is able to deliver the same experience what a desktop can deliver, right? That is super awesome. And exactly the same experience gets delivered on your mobile device as well. And just connecting back to what I mentioned, right, you will find a lot of AI ML being infused into the product, and it also includes the search, right? Now search not just related to Google search, what you experience on the Google web page. Today in Google, I've been in Google for almost a year now, not a single time I have gone into a folder, to search for a file, right? I just recollect like what is the keyword of that particular file which I want to search. I just go and type it in the browser. It not just throws up the name of the file, any content related to that keyword. So it could be a file, it could be a folder, it could be a message which I've exchanged with someone, it could be a calendar which is due, right? So that's the power of search, right? Now imagine like the kind of impact it is having on your productivity. It's huge. Again, I strongly believe that you should never be working for the technology. You are paying for it, right? The technology should be working for you, right? It is not that like, okay, there is a sheet which has been shared and like everybody starts punching into it, and it is just a collection device and you make sense out of it, right? Instead of that, can the technology work for you? Can the technology keep nudging you, right? There is an email which has come in, right? You need to respond to this email. Can a technology tell you that, okay, this is a mail which has come to you, we have not responded, can you do it for you, right? Can the task automatically come and nudge you, okay, these are the 4 pending tasks, can you go and complete it, right? So you'll find more of this in Google Workspace than what we have been using traditionally. Yeah, this is a very important and very interesting stuff, right? Somebody mentioned WhatsApp. I'm sure like all of you will be in like all kinds of WhatsApp group, right? There could be family group, there could be society group, there could be groups where like there are hundreds and thousands of messaging floating throughout the day. You won't even look at it, right? Now imagine a scenario, just a hypothetical scenario that there is a party in your housing society, okay? You just look at the message, okay, there is a party, and Saturday evening you are actually stepping into the party with your shorts and t-shirt. You actually forgot to read that there was a dress code which was mentioned in the entire WhatsApp conversation, right? And everybody is decked up in a traditional attire and you're just landing in a shorts and a t-shirt, right? Now imagine if this entire conversation, right, could be summarized and given to you in 3 lines, right? Does that make sense, right? That's exactly what the Google chat does to you, right? It I mean, there is a whole lot of groups where you cannot keep on reading the messages. So groups where you don't visit often, it gives you a summary of what's happening in the group chat, right? This is the AI ML feature I was talking about, right? And you'll find this trend across the product lines. And not just that, Google is an inclusive organization, and you'll find this across the product lines in terms of you can select what kind of language you could use in your organization, aligning to your organization policies. Yeah, this is the last 2 slides I talk about. There are a whole lot of things which I've talked will be shown in the demo, so I'm just rushing it through. Probably give more time back to my colleagues who can show live in the demo. See, while we enable users from a platform perspective to ensure that they go about doing their work, simplifying their daily conversations and collaboration, what else can we do on top of that? Right? So apart from Google Workspace, there is one more component within Workspace which can help organizations to do your last mile digitization and process automation, which is AppSheet. Right? So while we have lined up a detailed demo about AppSheet, I just probably take few seconds to talk about AppSheet. Right? Now AppSheet solves your last mile digitization issues. Now say an example in a banking industry, right? Now, the guys who are on the field, these guys are given, say, a list of jobs or calls to attend. Now, can that be automated? Can it be pushed to an application? If they are going about in certain places, can they record their attendance basis their location, right? Can they do a KYC using the application? Now, these are things what you can create on a platform which is a low-code, no-code platform. So instead of investing tons of money and having applications for different purposes, right? Having one single layer of an application platform where you could achieve a whole lot of your digitization and process automation stuff. Lastly, while we talked about collaboration, while we talked about your last mile digitization and process automation, one important aspect is security, right? The moment your users move out of your perimeter, one of the most striking thing for an IT leader is how can I ensure that this guy is going to access my corporate data, is going to access from a secure device, is going to ensure that this data doesn't get leaked out intentionally or unintentionally. What are the kind of controls I can bring it as an underlying layer of this, right? While from a platform perspective, this is absolutely secure. I mean, have you guys ever heard of any of the Google services being hacked or being attacked till now? The answer is no, right? So it's a very comprehensive security which is in place, not just from a platform perspective, but for the users, right from managing your access, right from managing your data and protecting your data. This is also something which we'll probably talk in detail, right? I think that's what I had to cover, right? I'm sure like this was useful. We guys are here around. I mean, if you have any doubts, clarification, you want to learn or know more about this, happy to interact. Thank you.
Now, ladies and gentlemen, you've heard the industry experts talk about the need for cloud-native collaboration and communication platforms in the modern-day enterprise. And some of these features that Rajan spoke about, the ease of use, intuitive platforms with suggestions for better performance and productivity, in built-in security, and also the ease of use that it offers to the employees. Some of these are very critical features that the employees today look for. And I think these two presentations have been a perfect segue into our next segment of the evening. So let's move on into an interactive fireside chat session. The topic for this discussion is Futurifying Business Communication in a Modern Workplace. And to take this discussion further, may I invite upon stage our esteemed speakers. They are Shobhana Lele, CIO for Bombay Dyeing. Ladies and gentlemen, can we have a thunderous round of applause for our speakers? And Sumedha Chakravarti, Country Head, Google Workspace for India and SAARC. Welcome, ladies. Collaboration tools have become a key in the arsenal, have become a staple in the technology arsenal of the knowledge workers today. And organizations are using them very effectively and efficiently to accelerate the business processes, to make their knowledge workers work faster, better, cheaper. And research also shows that it can deliver quantifiable top-line value while also cutting cost from the bottom line. Now, Shobna, I'd like to understand from you, for an organization like yours, which has diversified business portfolio, which has operations spread across a wide geography and a vast employee base, what are some of the challenges that you would typically face when it comes to communication and collaboration for an organization of the size, scale, and scope that like Bombay Line? What do you think are some of the typical challenges for a diversified business group like yours?
Good evening, everyone. Happy to be here. I hope you can hear me. Right. So when it comes to challenges that you're talking about, okay, I'll talk of 3 A's, right? One is the ambiguity. The second is assumptions, right? And the third is the accountability. Now, when it comes to diverse needs of people across multiple partners, multiple ecosystems, there are always gaps in communications. I just picking up from the previous presentation. Today we have so many forms of communication, right? Right from an SMS to a WhatsApp to an email to sharing of files. I mean, it just goes on, and then now we have a physical connect as well back, right? So sometimes a lot of the messaging gets lost in so many of these communications, and that leads to a lot of ambiguity. It also leads to assumptions, right? Because a person may be trying to tell you one thing, you may be assuming it to be another, right? So these are various challenges that it comes to when we talk of collaboration, particularly when people are not under one single platform, but they're spread across multiple geographies, also spread across multiple platforms. And I'll particularly talk of when you have a ecosystem which is on different types of platforms as well, right? So an organization doesn't deal just with its employees, it also deals with its partners, it also deals with its customers. So these are the various challenges that I can talk about when you're talking of a diverse company like us.
Right, right. So I really like the way you put it, the challenges around ambiguity, assumption, and accountability. And it's hard to keep pace with all the platforms in an information age, and also with the larger business system at play. Now, I'd like to take that thread to Sumedha. Sumedha, Google Workspace has over 3 billion monthly active users. What are some of the challenges that customers come to you with? What are some of the key hurdles that they face in trying to advance their collaboration and communication platforms?
Thanks, Neha, and good evening, everyone. Shobna, thank you for sharing some of the challenges that you mentioned. I think I'll just pick one because we are short of time, but that is also the key challenge. And if we can change that, I think that will be a great first step. I think it's the new ways of working is the biggest challenge that we see. Many of our customers as well as potential customers are really worried about. They've been used to working in a certain way, and they feel that cloud native, which Google Workspace is actually going to make them change the way they work. So we all talked about WhatsApp, we all talked about attachments, Rajan shared. These are things that all of us, and me included, definitely have grown up with. It's not easy to change. I mean, change is difficult for every human being out there. And I think what Google Workspace is nudging its users to do is literally let go of your attachments. Don't use WhatsApp for your official communication. Have you even tried using chat and how seamless it is? Those are the questions we ask. And in many cases, the users, even where customers have Workspace, they end up using the alternative platform, the unsecured way of communication, even for corporate communication. So I think it's the mindset, it's the willingness or unwillingness to change status quo, is the biggest challenge I would want to talk about here.
Right, Subeda. So that's a very real-world perspective on some of the barriers that organizations face when they, try to improve and augment their collaboration strategy. And we'll build up on that in the next segment. But I would want to first build up on what Shobna spoke in her first response about the plethora of platforms that exist and the information that is spread across all of these diverse platforms. Now, there is a research which says that an average knowledge worker spends at least 44 minutes every day trying to locate the information that they need to perform their job well. And they also spend an average of 42 minutes in the internal processes. So what do you think collaboration and communication platforms can do to improve the workforce mobility, the productivity, and also the connectivity of working across remote locations? Where do you think they can play a lead role here?
So again, when organizations talk of collaborations, most of the IT teams, understand the 3 pillars of people, process, and technology, right? So a platform like a collaboration platform like a Google Workspace, takes care of the technology piece so that, the IT teams can focus on, what are the really business needs or a business process needs, right? So once the platform is taken care of in terms of its technicalities, I don't have to worry about, how much storage, how much is the sizing, what kind of, procurement process I need to follow, those things are taken care of, then the IT teams can actually focus on the real world business problems and then look at either improvement of efficiency in those terms, okay, or in terms of increasing of the revenue, whichever be the. I think the workspace gives these options of, we saw the search option. I think it's one that is very widely used. So I know that when I have to search for something, I just have to put it in the search and I get my mails or my files. Anything which has, something to do with that word is always coming up. So these kind of productivity enhancements definitely help users, right? And since the IT team is not into, technically taking care of, the problems associated with these platforms, right? They can engage more with the business and add, with the business value added.
Do value-added tasks. Correct. Very valid point there. Now, Subeda, you brought in the angle of the culture, the change resistance, hardwired way of working for the employees. Now, I'd like to build up on that. And how are you approaching the workplace of the future as a cultural lever for transformation and better innovation in organizations? How do you see Google Workspace facilitating that for most organizations?
But before that, I want to thank Shobna for being a proponent of search. Many of our customers have search in Google Workspace, which is powered by the same algorithm of Google search, but still end up missing their old ways of file structuring. So thank you for sharing that example. I think I'll take this question in a slightly different way. So a lot of our customers, as well as potential customers who want to understand our platform, ask about how is Google using Google Workspace. And Shashi at the beginning mentioned the 9 billion user plus applications that Google has built over the years. And it continues to be like way ahead in terms of unlocking innovation. Do Google have a set of innovation principles? If you want to test it out, go and ask 10 Googlers and you'll get different answers. So honestly, there is no set of principles that we follow to really unlock the innovation that we have seen Google as an organization churn out over the last few years. What we really thrive upon is actually create an environment of collaboration, create an environment of best practice sharing, transparency, to thrive innovation. And that is something that we have been inculcating in our product Google Workspace, because Google also uses Google Workspace from day one. And we have been using this platform to collaborate, to share our ideas, to real-time connect, have immersive experiences and connections with our colleagues across the globe for many years. So I think what we really believe that the tool set is just the first hurdle towards getting there where we all want to, or we all want our organizations to be. The second most important piece is skill sets. How is the tool set actually supporting the ability for the employees to build their skill sets on an ongoing basis? And the third and the most important piece to really think of when you're thinking of culture transformation or unlocking innovation is actually attacking the mindset of each of the users. And that is the underlying criteria that we use to really build the vision of our product, which is Google Workspace. A lot of the innovations that our users see coming on the platform is actually trying to inculcate or use technology to help in managing collaboration in a much better way, in a much more seamless way, in a way that human beings are more used to working rather than changing the way or their style of working. So I'll give one small example, and I think Rajan tried to show that in his presentation. In the real life world, when we never had technology, we had all our files on one desk. We used to have desks and files and papers. We never thought of going from one desk to another desk when we are moving from one project or when we are moving from one activity to another activity. So in the digital world, why do we need to move, like change from one app to another? Why can it not be in one single interface? So that is what I think there is a major difference that Google Workspace has in its platform, that everything is actually on one page. You literally don't have to move away from that. So that was just one small example, but we are trying to use that vision of making the human or putting the human being before the tools or the technology that would support that person to unlock their full potential from an innovation point of view.
Right, perfect. Now, Shobna, when we speak about collaboration tools, we see a very close relationship, an interconnection between the collaboration tools and the employee's satisfaction. Sumedha also brought in the angles of flexibility, sharing of ideas, and also transparency. These are values, workplace values that the next generation of employees really, hold very dear to themselves. And when we talk about organizations in terms of being able to hire good talent, the employees today look for organizations that have advanced collaboration tools because they are used to these things in their personal life as well. They look for organizations that provide them the flexibility of work, the work from anytime, anywhere sort of a culture, the location agnostic postings, better collaboration and communication with their senior management. So these are some of the things that make the employees feel like they are the center of action. So how do you think having an advanced collaboration and communication strategy could help organizations become a preferred employer or an employer of choice? And how have you seen this? What have been your personal observations?
I think you answered the question as well in this because, when we have observed behaviors, particularly for new joiners, particularly the millennials or the Gen X, Gen Y, or whatever they are called as of today, when they join and we give them or open up the platform for them, they hardly take a few minutes to understand the platform and, they're already on the platform, right? Whereas maybe people who have been there for some time, it takes a little coaxing in terms of, try this out, no harm in, just trying it out, it works. So these are two ways that we already see things happening, right? But even the employees, once they get used to the platform or once they are coaxed to at least try it out once, then the adoption is a little easier, right? But that does take quite a bit of an effort. Any kind of change, I think Sumedha did cover it in the first, any kind of change is not going to be an easy one. But in terms of retaining talent or in terms of attracting talent, I think there is no two views about that. A collaboration platform is something that any new generation employee joining the organization would definitely assume it to be there by default, right? So, yeah.
Perfect. So I'd like to take that thread to Sumedha. Sumedha, organizations that have engaged employees have better employee retention as well. So how do you see organizations with, evolved and, slightly higher end of collaboration services and platforms usage within the enterprise? How do you see that impacting the way they are able to scout for a good quality talent and also retain the talent that they have?
I think I'll just share some data points. If we look at India's working population demographic today, the maximum working population is hovering around the age group of 20 to 30. And in the next 30 to 35 years, these are the folks who will be in senior positions in most organizations across the globe, as well as in India. That 20 to 30 year demographic is actually coming out of colleges where Google Classroom is being used across the board. So this generation that is there in the workforce and the maximum population of those in the workforce today are actually asking for that, what they have grown up using. And this is the future of India. This is the demographic dividend that we can all leverage in the future. And knowingly, I think many employers are actually focusing on that aspect, which Shobna also mentioned, right? That what is this population asking for? And why not start making that switch right now instead of waiting for the next 30 years when this demographic actually reaches the CXO positions in the organizations to make the change, because they are asking for it today. I think there are many organizations in the country, I wouldn't take names, but they've already started looking at who have a big hiring trend from fresh undergrads. They're literally looking at completely moving those undergrads into Google Workspace, even if their rest of the population in the employee workforce is using some other platform, literally for this reason. So I think those were the two data points I wanted to share to just showcase, this is going to be a demand from the next generation of employees. And many organizations have already started listening to that.
That's right. Now, Shobna, when we talk about collaboration suites, security cannot be a topic that can be ignored or forgotten. Now, 30% of the malware comes from collaboration tools or file sharing. So what do you do to make sure that the security posture of your organization is always high and, security doesn't become a glitch? It doesn't become one of the, ways to spoil the party for collaboration.
This is always one of the biggest concerns when it comes to platforms, particularly because, like I said earlier, organization is not just its own employees. There is also an ecosystem of, the partners, suppliers, or, customers with whom you have to actually share your data.
Sometimes they could become your weakest link.
Absolutely. So I think this is one area which, since Google team is also here, this is one area which is always a little bit of, concern that comes with most customers, because we need to have better controls in the way the files are being shared across, or, particularly outside of the organization. Coming to the security piece, the typical principles of a zero trust. So, you trust or you provide access only to the person, only provide access to the device, and only provide access to the application. So these are the three pieces, typically like how a zero trust normally would, function. So these are three basic things that definitely must be there. But additionally, what the organizations must definitely look at is whom are they getting shared with and what is the person. So I think it does require a lot of monitoring and surveying as to what is really happening to things that are being shared, particularly the ones which are outside of the organization.
Perfect. So a very proactive approach is what you're recommending. Right. Now, Sumedha, Google Workspace is growing at a very fast pace, especially in this market when collaboration is it's a hot topic. Organizations have completely agreed to the fact that, they need it for tapping into better quality talent, for enabling more productivity and performance within their companies. What are your growth plans in India? What is it that the customers can expect from Google Workspace, and what are the ways in which you're looking at tapping into this market growth opportunity?
Sure. So we have literally grown, or rather we've been born in the last 18 months. So before March 2021, I think most of the focus on Google Workspace from Google in India was through our partner ecosystem, and that's where we have always had a great support from our partners, and Searce being our #1 partner from that point of view and have been engaged with us for many years. We did not have a large enough sales population here to literally go and tell the Google Workspace story in India. But today, fast forward 20 months, we have 16 folks focusing only on Google Workspace, from a sales side, from a customer engineering side, from a customer success manager point of view as well. We have a full team, and that is literally from 0 to this number that I just mentioned. It just shows the amount of growth percentage that we are expecting from this market, and hence the investment on headcount. Now, the investment on the product is definitely happening across the globe, and all of that is out there in the market, which comes out in all of our tech events, how many features we have rolled out globally, and those will continue to come. But I think from an India perspective, we did not have the big sales force that we have today. We will continue to focus on that, growing the sales teams, so that we can tell our stories and be there in front of our customers along with our top partners, as well as focus on customer success. So I think customer success management is another piece that we are building and focusing on very rapidly, because now we have many large customers to manage in the country, and we need that group to really support those customers as they are onboarding.
So, Winston Churchill said, never waste a good crisis, and looks like Google Workspace has really made the most of the pandemic and the opportunities that came with it. Now, Shobna, when we talk about collaboration platforms for the future, they need to be intuitive, intelligent, agile, secure, stable, and also resilient. What are some of the parameters that you would recommend the CIOs to factor in while choosing a collaboration platform? Is there anything that they miss? Where do you think they really miss the boat in terms of choosing the right criteria?
In terms of criteria, maybe I'll divide it into three. One is from the end user perspective. So what does an end user really look for? He wants an ease of use. So keep it simple, basically, right? So something that gives an ease of use and ease of adoption, right? That's what a user would want the tool to be. What would the top management or the CXO level want it to be? Something which is giving them a business value or a return of investment. You cannot deny that that part of it. You need to have that return of investment completely captured for any tool. And the third is from an IT perspective. Obviously, it is going to be security, obviously #1. And a particular emphasis on the administration and management of the tool. Because finally, the administration and management of any collaboration suite remains with the IT team. And they need to be completely hands-on on how the entire management of the suite is being done. So I think these are the 3-4 criteria which are topmost that one should look at while evaluating a collaboration tool.
Right. Sumedha, you just heard what Shobna said in terms of the key parameters that CIOs should look at while evaluating and also making a purchase for a collaboration platform. What is your advice to the CIOs or digital practitioners who are looking at adopting collaboration platforms? Where do you think they should, what is it that Google Workspace does better than its competitors, and why do you think they should be choosing you?
I'll say one phrase, that change is good. If you're not here to look for a change when you're moving to cloud, then why even move to cloud? I think we need to be ready to adopt cloud native ways of working and not just a cloud platform, and continue doing work the way you used to do in the legacy world or in the on-prem world. I think that would be my basic and most important ask to all CIOs and IT leaders out there who are looking to evaluate a new platform for transforming their workforce.
Right. Thank you so much, Sumedha. Thank you so much, Shobna. I think in the time that we had, we did try and cover a lot of ground in terms of the need for a collaboration platform in these times, the various qualitative and quantitative benefits it can give you in terms of productivity, in terms of cost optimization, better hiring for talent, better retention. You also brought in the angle of the parameters that organizations need to consider while choosing a collaboration suite, the future roadmap for these technologies and why cloud native is the way to go. Thank you so much, ladies, for sharing your insights with us. And with that, I'd like to invite Amol Petwe, Associate Director, Future of Work at Searce, to hand over a token of gratitude to Shobna and Sumedha. Thank you so much, ladies. And now we move into the last session of the evening. This is a demo which will be made by Prakash Panchal, Google Workspace Sales Engineer, and Amol C. Petwe, Associate Director, Google Workspace. Amol and Prakash, can we have you on stage, please?
Thank you so much, everyone. It was a great presentations from everyone, and thank you so much, Sneha, for organizing this fireside chat as well. Thank you, Shobna ma'am, as well as Sumedha, for your presence and talking about Google Workspace, setting the context. So for us, myself and Prakash, the job becomes very easy, just to show what it is, right? And I think most of you on your personal lives, as Rajan mentioned, has already seen the platform, right? But these are bits and pieces. These are some of the areas which are on your personal lives, you are using it. But can we bring that simplicity, can we bring that intuitiveness for our enterprises is what we're gonna showcase in next 20, 25 minutes, okay? I know no one has asked questions so far. I know it could be monologue so far, but we'll try to see if post the sessions, you will definitely get a chance to ask questions, and we would really request you guys to have more and more questions in your mind so that it will definitely show us and motivate us as well. Okay. One only slide. We'll not again talk about more presentation than slides, but this is the same slide what Rajan has already showed. I thought of repeating here so that it sets the context. What is that we are talking about? Platform, okay, which has 3 different sections. This is purely a business communication and collaboration solution. It's a productivity platform for the enterprises that enhances the speed or efficiency or effectiveness the way your employees are working today. Okay? It equally adds a security layer, enterprise layer, the controls, what the enterprises wants today, or they would already have it today. Okay, through your current environment. Now, can we bring the same controls when we move on cloud completely, when we move on Google Workspace completely or not? So that's the whole idea. We thought of putting it across 3 sections. First 2 sections, connect and create, is purely for the end users. These are the tools on a day-to-day life. On a professional life, these people would be using. Then there is this 3rd section, which we basically talk about. It's a complete control section. Why? Because it's nothing but an administrator console that allows all end users to access their data securely across the devices, which is sanctioned by the enterprises. Okay, applications which are rolled out by the IT, policies which are enforced from the administration console. Okay, so it's data, it's devices, and it's all the users, they would be accessing it. Okay, so we call it as control piece. I think all these icons and applications are pretty much known to all of you. So I'll quickly now move on to the first 2 sections, and then I'll hand it over to Prakash so that he can take us to the control piece, and I think that is important too. Hope this is visible, and this is actually, let me zoom a bit. Is this better now? Okay. Now you guys must be thinking what I'm showing is nothing, just an email, right? That's the Gmail piece. But I want to show that this I have logged in with my official email ID called sears.com. Okay, this gives me access to multiple applications. I was talking about connect and create. Okay, all through my official email ID, sears.com only. So there is no gmail.com anywhere. Now this becomes my landing page. Sears, we can actually create a landing page which is custom to your organization as well. So you would have multiple applications. We can design that multiple applications. We can run an SSO on top of it, and that becomes your landing page as well. So that's, we call it as SSO page as well, right? Now, now when we talk about integrated platform or a view, what Rajan also showed in some of the slides, you would see that there is mail, there is chat, there are spaces, and then there are calendar or meetings, meet, we call it as. All available at one place, okay? Now, if we click on a compose, you pretty much the same interface, but what is different here when we talk about enterprises is confidential mode. Okay. And sometimes we term it as demo syndrome. So whenever we wanted to show something, no problem. So I can show that later. But yeah, so that's on the Gmail piece. And then everybody is pretty much aware about these chatting applications, which are instant messaging services. And on a day-to-day life, we are using WhatsApp very well, right? Now, what is important is it is not just one-on-one conversations, but it is across the groups, across or related to a project which we are working, right? So Google Chat has an application called Spaces. Now, this is recently launched, and it adds tremendous value for the organization, okay, while communicating internally. Meanwhile, you can definitely face such kind of issue also when there is no internet. How do we access? So it does support offline too, right? So the Chrome is the same browser, same interface that allows you to access all your email, all your documents, last 90 days of data pretty much available on the Chrome browser without internet. Okay, so you continue to work on the same device which you are using, okay, and you can very well access. You can go ahead and create new documents. You can go ahead and create docs, sheets, and slides without internet. You can compose new emails as well. All stays within locally. The moment it hits the internet, it synchronizes with the online drive.
Okay. Yeah, I think we are back.
Awesome.
Yes, I think what Amol was trying to demonstrate, which I'll try it again, was mainly around the unified view that you have in Google Workspace. And what essentially, what we were saying as part of email security is, while you know that you can always send one-to-one emails, but what you want to go one step further and send out probably a secured email just to ensure the person on the other side is the one who is going to receive it. And the content expires probably after a week or so, and that's how the confidential mode comes in, which allows you to control the message itself, which says that probably I know this email is going to be in your inbox for a week, and there are action items defined for you, and after that week, the email is just going to disappear from your inbox. And in the meanwhile, where that 1 week that email exists, you cannot do a forward, you cannot do a reply all. Right? So that's one view from an email standpoint. While we all have used Gmail in our personal life, there are many more capabilities that we would want to do more with you in a dedicated workshop. But for this particular discussion, we wanted to show you how we move from Gmail to various ways in which we navigate in our work, right from emails to chats to group chats to a longer group chats where you have to communicate with your team for a longer time. And that's where there's a space which Amol created, and it named it as Evlos project. And if you see this project or this particular space is dedicatedly created for this particular event, where we're exchanging pictures, we're exchanging files, we're exchanging chats, reacting to specific files. Usually in your work life as well, when you kind of do your work, you jump from one-on-one chat to a group chat. And that's where the entire ecosystem of Google comes in play and helps you navigate to different things that you do in your work life. So let me demonstrate one of those. So for this example, we are in a space where we are collaborating with 9 people. These are like all the dummy people that we have kept around who can help me collaborate and show you the power of collaboration. But yes, that's the space. When you're going to do a chat, I'm sure we are all familiar with the @ symbol. And this has been widely used during the COVID times just because you want to gain somebody's attention. Likewise, you have an @all function where you say, hi all, we need to work on a project, for an example. And I'm just alerting my team. And if you see this particular space is nicely viewed, where I know that this particular thread is where we're going to talk about project. And the about thread was mainly about pictures that we shared as an example. So we are not losing the content and the context when we're trying to do this collaboration and this chat. Now, when we go on top of it, you always need to share documents, either existing ones or you want to build new ones. But for this demonstration, I'm just gonna try and pick up probably a sample file which I already have to show you how you would collaborate and how we have seen many customers who are using Google Workspace collaborate. Now, let me bring up probably, I'm sure I'll have a lot of test files. Let me just pick up one of the random ones. And yeah, let's say this test doc. So what I'm doing here is, as part of my discussion, I'm saying that this is the doc where we need to work on. And I go ahead and send it. While I send, it is intelligent enough to say that people in this group may not have access, and really does not have access. So I'm going to go ahead and say that I need everybody to contribute. I'm going to give editor access and send this particular document. While you see all of that right now, I'm still in the same console where I'm accessing my chats, my mails. On the right, I'm accessing my calendar. I'm accessing my tasks. Probably I want to see who reports to whom. I want to see the entire hierarchy of a specific person. I can do all of that as well from a single console. If I'm working on probably SAP clients, working on Jira, many other applications that I work, I can bring those applications also on my navigation pane on the right, and I can navigate it while I'm on the screen. Now, that being said, for this context, I've just sent this document to my colleagues, and I need to work on it. What I'm doing is I'm bringing this document right up in my chat. That is one way, because I don't want to go outside of the screen. I probably am collaborating while I'm also consuming while my colleagues are writing on top of it. But at times you need to focus more on the document, and you just want to be focused while creating. At the point of time is when I'll go outside of the screen and say, no, I want to be focused, bring this document in a bigger screen so I can work much faster and just focus on it and don't get lost in the other discussions happening. Now, if you see while I'm in this document, there is Amol, who is not part of my organization, but he's a partner to us, and he's also part of this particular document, because in our daily life we do communicate with internal as well as external people, and all of this, what I'm saying, is all controllable. But while I'm doing this collaboration and building document, one thing I want to point your attention is some ways in which we have made document creation much easier. For example, I use an @ symbol here, and in the @ symbol is where I see those smart chips. And smart chips were essentially designed for me to be more productive and be more creative with the entire immersive experience, where I go ahead and say that I need to work on a meeting note. Probably I'm in a meeting and I need to create another meeting notes. I say meeting notes, and I say, okay, this is the CS event which we are at right now. And let me go ahead and select this. And you will see all the attendees who are part of this particular meeting. I can see they're lined up here. I have a notes section, I have an action item section. So I go put in some text and say this, the action item is on Amol probably, or I can say this action item is on Rajan, and I need this action item to be completed by probably by Friday, and I can assign this task. One thing to remember here is all the work that you do as part of Google Workspace, either be it email, either be it in documents, either be anywhere in the Google Workspace console, with all the apps which Amol just displayed on the screen, you have an option to create tasks and assign work to your colleagues in your organization as well as outside. and all of those tasks just show up at one place. And this was the place which I was talking about, where I know that these are these pending tasks on me which are going to expire today, tomorrow, or probably after a week. Now, coming back to my document, one of this which I said is action items. The other is in my day-to-day life, I also do commenting and probably say, at Shirish, this doesn't look right. Please change. So I'm assigning a specific comment to a specific person because I know he's really good at, and he may be able to do all the magic on this particular document. While I'm doing that, I also see that I need to bring in some more elements from the internet. As usual, I would go to a browser, go to google.com and put in a search string and do an enter. And some intelligent people like Rajan, whom we have not now learned, I would say I'm feeling lucky. So I want to be at the right place for this particular string. But now what if I am using a document, I don't want to switch screens. I just click on this explode button and I say, let's say, Sahara star, if I spelled it right. And I say, I just put this search. Now what you see here is three options: cloud search, web, and images. Cloud search is going to look for this keyword inside my organization, which is Google and Alphabet, and look for files which have Sahara star as a keyword, and I have access to those files to either view it or edit it or whatever, but I should have access to that file. I can see all of those results right here. Or else, I go to web and I just do a search on web. And I see, okay, there's a website and I need to copy some content from it. I go ahead and copy it and I say, okay, this is how it looks like. I also need to cite this, saying that I copied this content from this particular URL. So I can give probably those credits saying it is coming from this authentic site as well. Or I could do images. And I'll just pick up a random image here, see if it looks good to me. If it does, I'll go ahead and just say add. And I go ahead and add this particular document. Now, this is how I would kind of bring all my work inside it. Now, one other element that would essentially be needed when you see a lot of collaboration is to see who's doing what change. And that's where I go ahead and see probably version history. And I get to see all the versions of the document, every keystroke which I have done or my colleagues have done, and I see that color-coded. And I can easily, looking at this particular document itself, I can find out who made changes at what point of time, and if I need to restore those changes, right? So these are some of the elements that come as part of the document. There are elements where we know that you build a document or you already had a document, but you need to send it to some regions who are non-English. Probably you want to send them to a specific language. So you have a one-click option to translate an entire document, which gives you several options to which language you want to change this from. So I'll just say, what do I say? I go ahead and say translate. And when they say this, it asks me which language you want to choose from. So more than 90, 100 languages I can choose from. And I just choose, for example, let's say Gujarati, and I say translate. So all the content which is there in my document is going to get translated to the Gujarati version, which I know when I send this file to a person in Gujarat, they would need this regional language. So I would use that. So it helps me in that way as well. I can bring in, while I'm doing all this collaboration, I can bring in my calls, my Meet calls, my video conferencing calls also inside the document, right? So that's how intuitive and cohesive and collaborative the entire experience would be when you start using documents. Now, that being said, all of these abilities you do see inside of Sheets as well. So let me just give you one glimpse of that. Now, we're all used to spreadsheets. Probably different vendors provide different spreadsheets. Microsoft provides Excel, we call it Sheets, and then there is OpenOffice that provides Sheets again. Now, in Google Sheets, we do have versioning, collaboration, and all of these capabilities which we spoke about in a document. But one other layer that you will see in here, which is very important when you're looking at data, and you would always want an analytical tool to connect to terabytes of data and give you that view inside of Sheets. So we have direct integration with a few connectors. I'll just talk about BigQuery because that's very native to us, where in BigQuery you have terabytes of data and millions of rows which you can connect to from sheets, and you will see how fast and easy I can bring all of that data. So I'm just connecting to one of my BigQuery table. I'm going to use a public database which is available on the internet, and I'm going to say probably Austin Crime to see if I have access to this, and I say connect. So what it is doing in the backend is making a web query to BigQuery, and if you see 117K rows were just connected on my sheet in a fraction of seconds, if I would have to say that way. And then in here, I have an ability to do pivoting, charts, all the other things that I do inside an analytical layer, either on Excel or probably a Tableau or Power BI or Looker. I can use the first level of set right from the sheets itself. So that was a quick view I wanted to give about BigQuery and connected sheets as well. Now, while we want to move from the collaboration that we spoke about, we know that security also is very important when you talk about collaboration in an organization. And I want to just use this one slide to give you that view of what's there in security inside of Google Workspace. Right from protecting your data all the way to email security, all the way to protecting your data from known as well as unknown types of malwares and spywares and ransomwares in the world, and all the phishing attempts that happen in different ways, to device security in terms of how do you protect your devices in your organization, be it Windows, be it iOS, be it Android, or be it Chromebook. How do you protect those devices? And when you protect those devices, how do you ensure the device is protected and the access of the user is also protected? And we are all familiar with some of the terms called BYOD, bring your own device, company-owned device, company-provided laptops, phones, etc. You have different segregations where using these security capabilities, you will be able to then protect your data and also allow users to securely access. For example, what if you want your users to not be able to copy data from your chat or from your document, which is a company asset, to WhatsApp or to messages, or download that particular file onto your phone? How do you restrict it? So the device management, which comes as part of the Google solution, give you that flavor as well. We do have multi-factor authentication, context-aware access, some of the newer terms we want to talk about, which is mainly helping you to ensure the access of the user is secured. And we use intelligent AI and ML in the backend to identify and restrict those phishing attempts happening not only over email, but for identity as well. While we do have the entire ecosystem of security, you also need a dashboard and a view for you to do any forensic for any specific purposes. So we have Security Center, which kind of helps you doing any investigation from a security standpoint, and all the dashboards from DLP, from email security, from phishing attempts. You have those dashboards as well that come as part of security in Google Workspace. Now, with this, I'll just do a quick demonstration of DLP, and if that interests any of us here, we can then go back and talk more in a separate session, in a one-to-one session, to talk more and more about security and how Chrome Enterprise, the Chrome browser, not only gives you a secured layer of accessing a service, not only Google but otherwise, but also ensures that you have a full 360-degree view of security from a SaaS standpoint. Now, let me just bring up my demo domain. So what you see here is my demo domain, and I have a document which has some credit card numbers. And I have created a policy that says if there are credit card numbers, if there are PAN card numbers, Aadhaar card numbers, GSTN numbers, it should not be going outside my organization. And an incident report should be generated so that my security team, my NOC SOC team, can go back and look at those alerts and take actions against it. So that's the policy which I have built. Now, if you see some things change And if you are familiar with the way the document UI looks, you will see it automatically assigned a label that says confidential, which means you are auto-classifying your document. And you also have the shield sign here, which ensures and alerts the user saying that it has some protected data. And if I try to send this file to my Hotmail account, for an example, it's going to go back and tell me that you're not allowed. And will restrict it, saying that you cannot share this type of information outside my organization. So this is one way of data security to ensure that there's no data leakage. Now, what if I copy this content here? As a user, I'm going to try attempting. If I really want to leak that data, I'm going to go back to my mail, send over an email, it's going to block. I'm going to try sending it to chat, and I'm going to try sending it to a user outside my org. And I try sending this file, it says it cannot be sent. On the fly, it has a synchronous DLP layer in between, which blocks the file right away. So that was one flavor I wanted to give about security, where we can talk more, like I said, in a dedicated session. The last piece we wanted to talk about was low-code, no-code. I'm not sure how many of us are familiar here with low-code, no-code, but I want to give you a very high-level glimpse of what low-code, no-code and why it is important and how it is important. So if you see, from an application development perspective, there has always been traditional ways to build apps. And even before low-code, no-code came in by different vendors in the world, there were ways in which you could create traditional apps. BlackBerry was one of the first ones to build apps. Then you had iOS, you had Android, Windows phones, Windows operating system, Chrome operating systems, Chrome browsers. You had different flavors in which you would use different languages to build that app. But there was no serialization and an easier way to build those apps, given that you had to know that specific language. And that's where we all saw an opportunity of building an app based on machine learning, based on AI, and attempting the user to build that app. So if you look at this particular image here, it mainly talks about business users are the ones who always want to ensure that there is a lot of automation which should happen in the organization or in their business unit. And for that automation to happen, you need the business user be able to build an app, given that they don't have access to code in different languages. And those are the ones who highly wanting to build this app, and then flows down right from technical user to a junior developer to a senior developer. So majority of the users in the org are business users who want to build those apps. And you have employees who are looking ways to digitize your business processes, digitize some of the paperwork that we do on the shop floor, on the plants, on the field, as well as ways in which you can remove those legacy softwares, which are being used as silos inside the organization. When you see that, that's where AppSheet can come and play a role here, where you have an idea, you can build an app right at that moment. You don't have to wait for any specification or wait for any particular platform to be used to build those apps, right from idea to a solution, which makes it much faster. It helps reclaim time as well as talent in some way, and also help you build those custom solutions. It allows you to connect to any data source, no matter if it is a SQL server running on premises, or if it's a BigQuery or Smartsheet or running on AWS or running on Azure or running on GCP, you can still connect to and build app on top of it. It is flexible because you can interact with your hardware, which means if you have a phone, you take a picture, it's going to do an OCR. You can scan a QR code and trigger an action. You accept digital signatures. So there are multiple ways in which it interacts with your hardware and helps you build those business processes. Some of the examples we also wanted to give around AppSheet, which we have seen highly used for business processes on the field, is probably inventory tracking, probably digitizing processes on the field, also on the shop floor where they need to do any safety inspections, doing audits, as well as in offices when you need to do approvals for any document or for any particular process, and with your customers where you need to generate codes. So that's different use cases that you will see when you talk about AppSheet. So with this, I'm going to just stop here, pause here, and do a quick demo, post which we'll take any question that you'll have in your mind from Google Workspace as well as from an app sheet standpoint. What you see here is a sample file, which is a loan application file, which is a spreadsheet, has those typical columns, name, first name, last name, PAN card, Aadhaar card, city, signature, all of this. So I'm just using this existing data and trying to build an app on top of it. I go ahead and say create an app. So in the backend, it's going to look at my data set, and based on that data set, come up with an app. And that app may be a messy looking app, just because based on your data is where the app built it. But once the app is built, you then have options in which you can go back and change more and more elements to an app. So for example, it built this app for me, and this app is supposed to capture an image, capture the GPS location, which I am at right now, take my first name, last name, address, PAN card, Aadhaar card number, all of those fields, and then send an approval request to a user who is my boss, so that my boss can approve for an approval request so that he can give me much more discount for the prospect I'm working with. So let me give you that view on my phone in terms of how it looks and how you can interact with your app when the app is built. Just one more minute and I think it should be up here. And I hope my phone screen would be visible at the end. You can see the app, everyone? Yes. All right, so if you see, there's an app sheet app on my first row, the third one. I click on it, and this app is going to open up because that app I built and it is already deployed. And all the apps which I have, which are built by me or by my team, I have access to, they show up here. So I click on the demo loan app that we just saw, which we built. And using this app, I'm going to take an image. Let me go back to an image here. All right, not this, this one. So what I'm going to do is, this is a sample form from my phone. I'm just going to capture. You're not seeing the screen, but this is a sample form. I'm sure you'll have a handwritten form, but for the demo purposes, this is a digital form. It works in any of those cases. I go ahead and take a picture of this particular form from my app. Let me switch back to my app screen. And if you see, this is the picture which I took from my phone. And I use this picture. What it does is, it's going to OCR and find first name and put first name in the first name column, which is Amol. Last name, your address, your PAN card number, and if there are any additional info, it's going to put that as well. And then I say, no, I need 15% because this is a prospect customer. I digitally sign it and I save this. When this happens in the back end, an automation trigger is triggered, a workflow is triggered, which kind of sends an email to my boss saying that somebody is asking for an approval. And given in this demonstration, I am the user and I am the approver, let me just show you the view of how it looks on the Gmail on phone. So if you see, the first email which I got is the one that says an approval request. And from my phone, I directly go ahead and say, I'm approving it, and I go ahead and submit. So right from building the app all the way to approving it, I can do all of that from my phone itself. And I don't have to switch between different apps to do all those approvals. So with this, I'm going to pause, stop, and ask for any questions that you may have for us.
Absolutely. And there are so many things that we could not show because of time limit. We can definitely take a couple of questions now and then again catch up during the cocktail and dinner. If there are any couple of questions that we can take up quickly.
Why is there a 90-day limit for offline storage? In our case, like we'll have projects that run from anywhere 3 to 5 years as an average.
Yeah, so that's a caching capability what the browser Chrome supports, right? Now, so from an offline standpoint, Chrome is the only browser that actually supports. You are talking from that perspective only, right? So it is the caching capability what that the browser.
And does that apply only to emails or even documents?
As well as the documents as well.
So documents are also 90 days, I can say.
Can I have the mic, please? Yeah. So from an email standpoint, yes, 90 days is the email limit for you to have cached in your browser. Documents, on the other hand, you have a Drive Sync add-on or a tool which can be used to download all your files from Google Drive onto your local system. And then you have choices of how you want to keep your downloads. You want to keep it as and when you use it, or you want to keep it all the time. You want to be synced all the time.
So is there a possibility of increasing that limit in future?
The 90-day limit?
90-day limit.
Yeah, so at the moment, there isn't, but I think it is there in the engineering feedback. But yeah, at the moment, there isn't any near roadmap which is coming.
Thanks, Satyan. Any other question? Cool. Thank you so much, guys. Thank you so much, Prakash, for your time. Sneha, I'll hand it over to you.
I'm happy there are no questions. I'm assuming it is well taken. Thank you, everyone.
Namol, there are QR codes on the table tents. You can scan them and fill out the feedback forms. There are prizes against the feedback forms, and I'm sure you wouldn't want to miss them. And with that, I would like to invite Abhishek Jagrawat, Director of Finance and Accounts at Searce, to hand over a token of appreciation to some of these people who've made this event successful. We'll start. Can we have Abhishek on stage, please? So we have Shashi Vaidya, we have Shashi Tripathi, Senior Sales Director from Searce, to hand over the token of appreciation to, we'll start with Shirish Vaidya, Relationship Manager, Google Workspace. Can we have a big round of applause for all the gentlemen here? Dhwani Limbachia, Google Workspace Specialist, India. Rajan CS, Sales Head, Google Workspace. Prakash Panchal, Customer Engineer, Google Workspace Specialist. Ashish Shah, Partner Marketing Head, Google Cloud. Bhakti Shah, B Channels. Thank you so much. And with that, I'd like to hand it back to Shashi for his closing remarks.
I'll not take long, guys. I have just three points to make. The first part, which I want all of you to carry, and we all have heard this time and again, picture is worth 1,000 words. And when I was going through that demo, and all of you were going through the demo, what Google Cloud as a platform brings to you is simplicity, the power of simplicity to everything that we do professionally. Carry that. If you really think you want to make the lives of your employees simpler, faster, better, you want to make the lives of your IT team, the admins and the security guys simpler, faster, better, right? And the overall innovation part of that just a little better, faster, I think that's the platform to take. So that's point number one that I wanted to convey to you guys. My point number two, which is far reaching than this, and I have believed this with all my heart, and I think you will also believe this, that collective intelligence trumps individual brilliance. Everybody is on a similar scale of technology, of knowledge, of base. What differentiates one organization vis-a-vis other is when organizations are able to harness the power of individual employees of those to build something larger, when the sum is greater than the pieces or the ones that we're talking about. And this is possible, right? When you actually do that, when individuals come together and collectively do something, more engaged, more informed, more strengthened teams, and faster innovations happen. So those are the 2 points from my side, and a platform like this can help you achieve that. The third part is the most important part that I want to take. Thank you very much.